Hello and welcome to another MK4 Supra 1UZ update. So since the last video I have managed to get the car running again. It has been a while since the engine was running in the car. I think probably good 4 or 5 months ago. It was the last time I ran it with the engine being in the car. Obviously I've ran the engine before when it was on the stand and figured out some of the wiring issues back then. But obviously got to a point now where I need the engine running and I need to work on the electrics and stuff like that. So let's go through the stuff that I've worked on recently and the stuff I'm working on at the moment. So the first thing I wanted to do, well, obviously I got the engine running previously, and well, when I say previously, in the last sort of week. And one thing I found that this belt, well, I have mentioned before that this belt was too long, and I've ordered this time round a 6PK 1570 belt, whereas the last one, if I just grab that, it was a 6PK 1600. It was way too long, and well, even this belt I think might be a bit too slack. But I haven't run the engine with these belts on yet. When I got the car running, obviously I didn't have MAP sensor on at first, and I had a couple of vacuum leaks. So here's my solution for sorting out a vacuum leak here. I need to buy some proper vacuum ends off eBay. So yeah, I fitted the MAP sensor, and the car was running really lumpy, and it wouldn't pick up revs or anything like that. And then I remembered that, so basically bottom of this pipe, originally there's a massive like resonator box of some kind, and I forgot that I cut it off and there was a massive hole underneath. If I just take it off and it'll show you. So what I've done is basically plastic welded it all up so it's nice and sealed. Probably not going to run this for much longer. I'll probably end up getting a nice intake for this, or making something of my own. But once that air leak was sorted, the car is running absolutely spot on and it's idling fine. I've got the power steering all filled up and it seems to not be leaking, which is a nice bonus. I've got the coolant hoses hooked up, so obviously there's just two hoses. I think this one might be a bit too long, and I really don't like how it's rubbing on this hook. It's not rubbing as such, but it's resting on it, so I will need to come up with a better solution for this. I really don't like how it is now, but again, it's working. I've had nice and warm hot air blowing from the heaters, which is nice. I've slightly rerouted the clutch pipe, but I still don't like how it is, and I want to remove this pipe that's for the charcoal canister, so I think that needs to go. I'm considering redoing the fuel supply as well at some point. I don't really like how this is, so I'll probably just shorten it, and rather than running a 180 bend, I'll probably run it straight down there. As you can see, there's a lot of stuff going on with the wiring. I've got my multimeter out, and I've got one of these, which is a handy tool, where you can test for positive, negative, or you can feed a positive or negative. So that's really good for debugging your electrics in the car. So current issue I have is, so there are two EFI or ECU relays, and I don't know why, but previously I have had the car running with what I think is the same setup as now, wiring wise. But at the moment I'm only getting 5 volts on this grey wire, whereas it should be 12. So basically the ECU or the relay doesn't really initiate or lock as it should do, so I need to find the issue with that. I'm hoping it's just I've got wrong wire connected in my adapter loom, which I'll show you shortly. So yeah, I've had the car running for quite a while now, well, about 5-10 minutes, with the radiator hooked up, and there's just water in there now, which you cannot see, but trust me, there's there's water in there. And it's holding pressure fine. Everything seems to be okay. I've still not had the thermostat open, and I cannot remember if I had a new thermostat fitted or not. But I need to run it for a bit longer. But the issue I found is that the temperature gauge doesn't seem to be working at the moment, and I'm not sure exactly why. So I need to double check the wiring and double check that I have actually hooked it up. I spent some time looking into the alternator wiring, because obviously at the moment, or so far, I've been running the car with alternator not charging. As you can see, there are a multitude of wires that need connecting. So one of them is alternator, one of them is for like the body power, and that's the alternator wire that needs to go to the battery. So there is this 3-pin plug that's part of the alternator loom, and there are 3 wires, obviously, on 3-pin plug, obviously. So this white wire, it's basically it needs to be a constant 12 volts supply connected to a battery via a 7.5 amp fuse. The black and yellow, that is a switched power. So basically I've just joined them together, put it on 12 volts, and then I got the battery or the alternator to be charging. So that part is figured out. Obviously I just need to make it all permanent. And the other wire, the yellow and green, it's the battery light, but also there's a battery light wire on the ECU. So I might just hook up an LED or something like that under the bonnet, just as an additional indicator, once I verify that the instrument cluster is showing the battery light as it should do. Yeah, so the cooling system, let's say I'm happy with it for now. I just need to obviously do these mounts. Power steering, happy with that. Everything's working fine. The belt should be all good now. There was a bit of squeaking previously. Should be all sorted now. No air leaks. Idling fine. Good. This to sort out. Obviously all this mess to sort out. Actually, it looks worse than it is. It's just that this multimeter and all sorts here. I was planning on moving the battery into the boot, which I will do at some point. It's just I've decided not to do it now. It's just gonna take more time now, and I just want to get the car drivable, which in a way it is, because I've bled the clutch as well, and I've just adjusted the clutch as well. So I had to remove the master cylinder again after we bled the clutch with my mate. I've just adjusted like a little fork thing. I've screwed it more in, and the clutch works fine. So if I just get in there, it's a bit dark. So press the clutch. We've got all gears, including reverse. So happy with that. So this is the current state of the wiring. Some of it is connected permanently, some of it is not, and a lot of the wires need some more wires need connecting up, and then I need to remove my jumper harness. So I don't think I've shown this before, but this is really uncomfortable. So I've got, so this part is the original Supra body harness. This is a 2JZG GT actually plug, and then basically some of it is the, so I wonder what's the best to show. So for example, this is a 1UZ harness. This is a 1UZ no, this is all, I'm confused and I forgot what's what. I think this is all Supra sort of parts. Anyway, so basically I made a jumper harness that goes Supra, Supra, from Supra into Sora body plug into the Sora wiring loom for the engine. So basically I've got an additional, rather than going from engine wiring into the body, I've got additional 2 plugs that I just joined the wires together, as you can see here, all in heat shrink. I think this is the best way going forward if I ever decide to put a 2JZ in the car. I've still got the original uncut body plugs basically, and it's going to be just plug and play. So yeah, I think it's not the tidiest of ways for now potentially, and it adds more wiring under the carpet, but it's the safest way going forwards. And if I just get out of here. So the other thing I have worked on is the exhaust, and if I just plug my light on under the car, just hang there. So if I get under the car, so obviously previously there was not much of an exhaust system on the car. So now I bolted up the exhaust that I've shown in the previous video. I think it might be a bit too low, so the phone I'm filming on is like on the sill, and the exhaust is hanging a bit down. Obviously I can still adjust some of the stuff on the back. I've got a V-band welded on there. Again, not the nicest of welding, but I honestly just have a TIG welder, not even a TIG, a rod welder. So not the best, but it's sealed and is strong enough. So I'm happy with that for now, and I'd imagine at some point I will change the exhaust system anyway. It's just what I have to work with. One thing I'm not entirely happy with is how close basically it's touching the filter position. Zoom in a bit. So I've got basically filter touching the exhaust, and I need to probably modify this bracket a little bit, or space it out, or bend it, or something like that. Saying that, this is all wrapped in heat-proof stuff, so it never really gets hot. And it's also horrible stuff. It takes a while to get rid of all the fibers that fall off it. And yeah, I've got the back box bolted up in there, and currently on zip ties, as you can see there, because I've cut off the original, or not the, well, the bracket that was there, the hanger bracket, and I still haven't finished doing that. I haven't finished making the new hanger brackets. I need to buy one of the rubber mounts, and then I can finish that off, and I need to extend the exhaust a little bit, and I'll show you why. I kind of screwed up a little bit because basically the exhaust is, that's the best way of showing it, I guess. It's way too short. I've measured the center section that I was modifying when I was welding on the V-band. I don't know where the other part of the exhaust is. So anyways, yeah, I've cut off the center section of the exhaust. Oh, well, it is. So obviously this section is what I've cut off, and then I welded a V-band on the other part, and I did measure it, but obviously I measured it not very well. And yeah, what I'll probably do is cut a section off the back box and weld this on to extend the back box basically, so it sticks out a little bit and doesn't melt my my bumper. So I think that's pretty much an update for now. Yeah, I think that's going to be pretty much an update for now. I have a lot of electrics to work through, but it's not really a complicated system. I have quite a bit of wiring pinouts printed out from a website, and it pretty much matches up. And to be honest, apart from the temperature gauge that never moved in the 5-10 minutes I've run the car, Everything else seems to be working that needs to work. It's just obviously starting the car up that is a bit of an issue at the moment. So basically, I had to use my probe and just feed 12 volts to the starter, not to even starter, to the EFI relay, and then obviously that made the car start fine from the key. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of wiring loom stuff that's not going to change the look of the car at all. But there's a lot of it to get through, and I don't particularly. I like getting the stuff to work, but working on the wiring loom and tidying up is not what I enjoy doing really. But it still needs to be done, especially the alternator stuff. But once the wiring is out of the way, I will, wiring and exhaust, I will drop the car onto the ground and it should drive. I've already tried the clutch and stuff like that with the car up on axle stands. So when the car was running, I went through all the gears and it seems to engage. The wheels are turning, so that all seems to be good. So that's going to be it for today. I'm not sure when the next update is going to be because of some holidays and stuff like that. I'm just hoping that I can get some of the work done in the next week or so and just move the car like, a foot or two, a meter, and that's going to be quite pleasing, I think. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.